Most of you know Sophie Egan from Whizz Kidz. This is Sophie from Whizz Kidz. How many of you came to her presentation last time? Quite a lot of you, I know, yeah. Most of you. So I know you talk quite a bit. These are the same people. These are the people who did the run. We're going to see pictures of the runners in a moment.
I was second in the run.
He was.
You were what?
Second.
But you were the first of our guys, yeah? I think I give credit to that, so to say, our winner.
I got my t-shirt.
We all got a t-shirt, yeah.
It's both.
And some of you were involved with working this through, with organising the whole event with Sophie, so some of you know a little bit more than others. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Sophie just to talk about the organisation, to talk about fundraising, to give you some more detail. I've got a lot of stuff on Blackboard that I'll open now so that you can access it. I've got a list that I'd like to go around to, and over here. Is that already gone round? Yeah. Okay, so it's got to be a big sign. Make sure you sign that because I need to know who's here. I need to talk about groups, but I'm going to do a lot of that when Sophie's done her talk, so I'm going to let you talk and then we'll just sort out all our arrangements. Sophie's going to come to our residential. She's going to be there to hear your final presentation. So it's going to be the real thing. So you're going to be presenting to our client like a real client, because that's what she is. A real client, a real one, a real one, not a fake one. No method. Okay. So I'm going to hand over. I'm going to let our real client talk. I just put the slides up. So yeah. So I'm going to put it up there, and you can go forwards. So if you try that, just try that. It's okay.
I'm just going to run over, thank you, hello, and everything else. Just going to very quickly run over a little bit more about who we are, just to refresh you all, and then I'll take questions and things later on, and then I'll go into a little bit more detail about the fundraising and also the brief. So Whizz Kidz is a disabled children's charity. We're quite small in the UK, but we cover the whole of the UK, and we aim to raise around £6 million a year. At the moment, there are 70,000 disabled children in the UK who don't have the right wheelchair to fit their needs. And that is a little bit like giving a child a pair of size 6 shoes and say, one day you'll grow into them. But actually, it basically means they miss out on a huge part of being a child if they've got the wrong chair. Added to which, they end up with a lot more problems as well. So not just the actual disability they have at the outset, but they will end up with sores, with other issues, with back pain and everything else. It's really, really important to give them the right chair at the right time of their lives. We also provide them with, we're quite a positive charity, so our aim is to improve their lives, not to be concerned so much about what their actual disability is, but actually how they can get more out of their life and reach their full potential. So we have clubs around the country as well, which are a little bit like disabled youth clubs, where they will go meet other children and young people who are also in the same situation as them at times, but sometimes that will be the first person they've actually come across that's in themselves in a wheelchair. So they will come across issues that you and I don't, i.e. getting on the bus at number 30 from here to King's Cross is a real effort in a wheelchair because you have to wait for the bus to actually go down, you have to get on, you have to try and squeeze past everybody that doesn't move anyway. So it's actually really hard, and they come across a few barriers along the way. So we're there to try and help them get over those barriers as well, especially when they first come to us. I think it's important. And the other thing that we try to do is we give them a lot of tips and training as well. So a little bit like learning to ride a bike. You can't just give a 6-year-old a bike and you say, go, good luck. Actually, that's quite scary, especially if they themselves have never moved themselves before that they've always been pushed in a big heavy chair, or now they've got a power chair, for example, where they can actually push the button and they can go, and that goes quite fast over mum's feet or over into somebody else, and it can hurt, so they need to learn how to use it properly too. But most importantly, we give them the right to be a kid. So this is a little bit, these pictures are not brilliant, so I do apologise, but it gives you a little bit more background about the types of chairs. So you've got the little girl here on the right who's in a powered chair. It's actually got the battery operated, and that will also go up and down. And you can see it looks quite clumsy, and it's not exactly leather seats, but actually it fits her perfectly, and it's suited and fitted to her by one of our physiotherapists. So that will grow with her as well. So if she came to us when she was 4 and now she's sort of 7, they will have moved along with her, and we will stay with her all the way through, ensuring that she's got the right chair until she's 18. You've got George, who you met last time on the far right-hand side, who's got a self-propelling manual chair, but it also has a slight battery pack, so it helps him take some of the strain too. So if he was going up a hill, it would actually keep going with him rather than waiting for him to try and get the muscle power to get up. And then the little girl at the bottom who has got a sports wheelchair in order that she can play basketball, for which she does for her local team. We were set up 25 years ago by a gentleman called Mike, and he was in his bike shop when he saw a girl in a wheelchair who was reaching up, was looking up at a lamp on the shelf, and he timidly said, "Is everything okay? Can I get that down for you? Would you like some help?" And she looked fairly disgusted. And I said, "Actually, I'm fine, I can do it myself." And pushed her button, and up she rose on her chair, because her powered chair had a riser. And this was the first time that Mike had experienced the difference that the right chair can give somebody else. He'd never really come across this before in this sense. And he had a London Marathon place that he was fundraising for, a little girl who had cerebral palsy, and she needed a new wheelchair, but he was unaware of the actual intricacies of all the different types of chairs. But on that journey 25 years ago, he's raised £9,000 and set up Whizz Kidz in the process, because with his research, he realised how many other children would benefit from having something that would actually help them throughout their lives. This year, as I mentioned in the summer, was our 25th anniversary. Congratulations. Feel like it sometimes.
So long.
And Mike actually did Ride London with us, which was the Olympic bike ride that was set up in 2012 from London out to Surrey and back again of 100 miles. So he is still part of the Whizz Kidz family. Here, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a story about Dominic, a little video clip actually. But as I quickly mentioned, and hopefully not too gabbledy, but in the UK and England in particular, we have the National Health Service, which provides a vast amount of medical facilities for everybody. But as I said earlier, what they will do, and they do provide wheelchairs, but they provide wheelchairs that fit for everyone. So not just one size fits all, like the size 6 feet of shoes. It just doesn't quite mould that individual, nor does it mould to their lifestyle and what they would actually like to get out of it. So if you were a child about to leave junior school and go to secondary school, age 11, and you were still being pushed around by your teacher or by your carer, when you go to big school, you don't want that person hanging around with you. You'd actually quite like to go and do it yourself. You'd like to go into the playground and have proper conversations with friends rather than an adult listening in. So if you can have that power chair or that self-propelling chair that you can move, you've suddenly got an enormous amount of freedom, an enormous amount of childhood back, and actually the independence and level to go further. Having a disabled child can put a huge burden financially on the family as well as emotionally, and wheelchairs aren't cheap, and that is because they are bespoke and because they're fitted for the best. It's more of the long-term view rather than a short-term quick off you go, hope it works well. So our wheelchairs are approximately £2,500 for a manual chair and £5,000 for a powered chair. The difference that what we have as a charity is that the majority of the people that come to us and need our help and would like support in a piece of mobility equipment, their family income is around about £20,000 a year. So £5,000 of that for a powered chair is pretty much impossible for them to purchase themselves. So that is why they come to us, and we can fundraise and help supply. This is Dominic's story, who did come to us, and you're going to have to bear with me. I think.
My name is Dominic and I'm 8 years old.
Before Dominic had the wheelchair, he was pushed everywhere. So he was in a special needs buggy, and he had no life of his own. He had no choice. You know, he couldn't just take himself off and go and explore something interesting. He just went where he was pushed, or I carried him. So he got used to always having an adult around. He had no interest in exploring his environment at all, because he couldn't do it by himself. So he would just sit there and cry if he wanted another toy. He wouldn't be able to go and get it. He didn't have any opportunities that other children did to learn about the world. Dominic did go to the wheelchair services when he was very little, and they gave him a supportive special needs pram, which was great, but it got to a time where actually he needed something more grown up. And so we went back there, fully expecting them, like a pair of shoes, to give him the right wheelchair that fit, that he could use around and wouldn't cause him any damage. We had wanted a power chair from the wheelchair services. We would have had to wait until Dominic was 8 years old. Now, that would have meant that he would have been completely immobile for 8 years. They would have given him an indoor power chair only, so he wouldn't have been able to join in the sports day like he is today. He wouldn't be able to go out to the park with the dogs like he'd go to play with his brother and sister or play in the playgrounds at school. So the fact that Whizz Kidz will give a power chair at the earliest possible opportunity means that children aren't learning to be dependent. They are interacting with their environment, they're interacting with their friends, and they're getting to be children. The biggest difference that Whizz Kidz has made to our life has been that they've given Dominic a life.
It means that I can play with my friends, and if Mummy's doing something, I can just do something else.
Whizz Kidz is the one charity who has actually made a positive difference that you can see in everyday life. I mean, we've been involved with many children's charities, but it's one charity that has actually changed our lives. I'd like to say thank you, a huge, huge thank you, not just from me, but from my family and Dominic's friends and the school and everyone here at Sports Day, because your donation helps children like Dominic join in. It helps them be children, it helps them live their life, and we cannot thank you enough, because you have changed everything for us. You've given us our family back, so thank you.
I hope that gives you a little bit more information and background about the impact that a piece of equipment, which to you and I is just a big piece of machinery, but actually it's a massive part of the children's lives and their family lives, and other people too, so they think about wider family. This obviously all costs money, and it's something that we are quite a small charity in comparison to some of the large national ones, but we're all chasing the same pound. So every single person that's working for a charity, or every single person that's doing a fundraising event, is trying their hardest to secure more money for very worthy causes. So it is quite a competitive market, I suppose, and actually what we're trying to do every single time is be one step ahead of the game, and also just try and tweak it a little bit to try and engage the audience and get somebody else to support us. So fundraising is the process of gathering voluntary contributions of money and other resources, and that's from a variety of different elements. And what I would like to try and do now, hope I can do, is explain how we in Whizz Kidz work as a fundraising department because we split our donations down so that we are all individually as fundraisers not chasing the same pound but actually going into different areas to ensure that we maximise our potential. So Whizz fundraising department, as I said, we raise in approximately around about, and our budget changes year by year, and also by the need, because we have a waiting list in addition to the services we provide. So as we get bigger, and as people become more aware of us, actually we get more applications for funding as well, or more applications for chairs and pieces of equipment. So it's a sort of double-edged sword in some senses. But our department is split up into corporate fundraisers, event fundraisers, trusts and foundation fundraisers, individual giving fundraisers, and regional fundraisers. Now, corporate fundraising is probably pretty much what you all know about. It's the likes of Tesco's, it's the likes of Travis Perkins, who was supporting us a few years ago. Tesco's did support us. We're in a pitch at the moment with Deutsche Bank. It's these big players, over £25,000 per annum they will support, are what our corporate giving department work on. And they are continuously trying to find hooks to get into these big companies and for us to be a partner with them. And that will, their partnership with fundraising will go through a variety of things. So the company will put on events for us, or they'll go 5p for every plastic bag, or they will do some staff fundraising as well, or they'll go out and do client-based fundraising as well. So it's a massive remit, which is very much led by the corporate team. And most of those partnerships are at least a year, and some are 3 years. And that our aim is to get to the 3 years, because actually it's a steady generation of income. For example, but it takes a long time. So for example, we're in the last 3 at Deutsche Bank. So we started our pitch in April with an application form and making sure we fitted the criteria that Deutsche Bank are interested in. We then gone to 2 rounds of interviews where they wanted to meet a beneficiary, where they wanted to meet some of our trustees, where they wanted to know a little bit more about how we work and how their money will be used. And we are now down to the last 3 charities to staff vote over the next 2 weeks. So it's a long process. If we're successful, that fundraising is, well, that income pot is 1.5 million over 2 years. So it's a massive, for us, a massive pitch, and one we're really hopeful to be successful with, but so too are the other 2 charities that have got down to the last 3 too. So it's continuously, like I said earlier, that competitive edge. And one of the ways that Deutsche, for example, raise at least 300k over the year is they gave, everybody gives her a day's salary, a day's pay basically, into the charity pot. So, and that raises at least £300,000. So that's, as you can see, again, another angle, I suppose, or another hook. Events fundraising, there is a team of 3 girls in head office who deal with large mass participation events, which are things like London Marathon, New York Marathon, Ride London, the big, and so the international treks like the Marathon des Sables. So charities can purchase places in these large events, and then we sell them on, for want of better words, to individuals who would like to fundraise for us. So, for example, the London Marathon, we're really fortunate because of how we were set up. We have the allocation of 5, we can buy up to 500 places a year, and we offer those out to individuals if they bear with a deposit, and also with a minimum fundraising requirement of £1,700. So ideally, our marathon event, London Marathon event, will bring in just under £1 million for us, and that's how we maximise those places. But at the same time, so are lots of other charities, and people also purchase their own through the ballot. Trust fundraising. In the UK, there are a large number of trusts and foundations which are set up over periods of time as pots of income in a philanthropic way that are donated out, but they come with quite strict criteria, majority of them, and you need to research those and ensure that your charity and the area that you are fundraising for fits within that criteria. So we've got a trust team of 2 who will look at trusts all over the country, and it will be, some of them, for example, will be a trust that's set up in memory of somebody, say 10 years ago, and actually they want their money of £5,000 to go to a child in West Sussex, but in East Sussex, in the town of Brighton. So we have to come all the way down through all of that, and it's a big, not minefield, but it is a lot of research in order to get it right, remembering that we're not the only people that will be applying to that trust too. So we need to make it right and make it fit. And then we have individual giving, which you will know. You see people, well, you might know, people that give money regularly, sort of £3 or £4 a month on a direct debit basis, or they'll give one-off donations in response to a appeal we have put out. And then we have regional fundraising. Now, in Whizz Kidz, regional fundraising is divided into 6 areas across the UK, and there are 6 regional fundraisers. One of them is myself, and I cover London, Kent, and East and West Sussex. So our remit is to raise money from individuals, corporates under £25,000, schools and universities, sporting clubs, i.e. golf clubs, skiing clubs, whatever club you want to, running clubs, groups and associations, so that could be Brownies, it could be the Rotary, it could be that sort of thing, and individual fundraisers. So somebody like yourself who actually wants to go and do the Great South Run, I would support you and look after you. So that is the remit of regional fundraising. It pretty much, apart from trusts, encompasses all of the other parts of the fundraising department, but at a lower level. So we have a lot of smaller donations, but many more people. And at the same time as we're doing that, we're engaging and raising awareness in our regions and sort of spreading the brand by that trickle effect. Regional fund is a relatively new income to Whizz Kidz, but it is recognised in order for us as a charity to grow, we've got to go from the bottom upwards. We've done the big guys at the top, and we continue to do the big guys at the top, and we will, but actually our income won't generate any further than that. So actually what we need to do is become bigger ourselves and better known, and engage more people locally, I think and a lot of charities are doing exactly the same thing. So it is about increasing our potential donors and raising our awareness, but at the same time it brings with it that competitive edge, because I, for example, will go to a school, give an assembly, ask them, the school, to do a dress down day or all wear green for the day, and they will say, I think so, but actually our local hospital has got a children's unit and we want to we want to raise money for their play area. Okay, that's your choice. But that's my competition at the local level. So it is very much trying to find something that tweaks and fits within that remit too, and will appeal to those people. So when it comes to school fundraising, we haven't got it right yet, and we're still continuously trying to find different angles. And what we also find is that schools don't really know sometimes what they would like and what fits within them. So we've gone through a process where we thought it would fit to do something educationally on disability awareness, but actually that's not part of the national curriculum, so it's not there's not a huge time slot for that at school. Then we've also worked out that actually maybe teachers have had enough of asking parents to do dress up, to do this, because they do World Book Day, they're doing something else. So if, for example, one school this summer said, actually Sophie, we really want to support you, but we can't physically do anything else this term. So what we will do is we will sell ice creams at the sports day, and we will give you all the money from there. And actually that raised £1,200. Now if I could get 20 schools doing that at for them that was low maintenance, I'd be a lot happier. and life would be a little bit easier. But our challenge is continuously to try and think something different, but also fit within those parameters too, because you can't. It's a fine line of making people cross with you and actually not interested, and then they're therefore then forgetting the actual cause and the reason why we're there. Our challenge over the next 2 years is to raise our income and increase our income. We're currently around about 600,000 per annum, and we want, in regional fundraising, we want to get that to 750, particularly by 2016. And like I said, we're looking to the best way to engage what we call the prospect donor, so the new person, or those that are already existingly supporting us, to captivate and inspire them to fundraise for Whizz Kidz. Here are a couple of fantastic regional fundraising events. Wish I'd come up with them, but I haven't. Someone's beaten us to it. And that is, for example, 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was the Macmillan Coffee Morning, where it is a very simple regional fundraising local ask, where it is all the information's online, everybody can either send off for a pack, but basically the simple idea is please hold a coffee morning, bake a cake, create cakes or whatever, ask your friends and family to donate towards it and send us the money in. So for example, my children's school did exactly that. There's 200 of them, we all chucked together some cakes, kids went in with some money, and £600 later there was that coffee morning done. Every school around the country or every workplace has done something similar.
There was a big thing downstairs, I don't know, did anybody see that? They had a big coffee morning, they had a big long table out. Macmillan Coffee Morning, everybody in registry was involved, there was lots of emails. We're having this big thing, there was cakes galore, and everybody came, lots of people came, gave some money and ate a cake. It was huge.
So today we're on the 14th of October, so 3 weeks later, and they've raised 9.1 million from this year. So it is that, it can get that big, and it would be great to be that big. Everybody will, I'm hoping, have remembered the Ice Bucket Challenge last year. That again, a really simple idea that took the media, social media in particular, by storm. Everybody had some knowledge of it, so it raised the brand awareness as well, because prior to that there weren't many of us that had heard of ALS or knew what it was. In that period of, it was July and August last year, in 2013 ALS raised 2.7 million between July and August. In 2014, that's $2.7 million. In 2014, they raised $98.2 million in the same 2 months. The knock-on effect in the UK was the MND, which is a similar equivalent charity here. In the previous year, 2013, it raised £200,000, and this 2014 it raised 2.6 million. Again, just from people pouring a bucket of water over their heads. So, this is where you guys come in. We would like you to really, our brief to you, and I know Anne will help me out on this one, it's not my region particularly, but is to recommend regional marketing and communications objectives, a strategy and delivery for London and Kent and Sussex, so this region, through the following channels as minimum, which is corporates, schools and universities. And I'm also really keen that we can try to focus on our current and existing supporters and re-engage them, either through forms of communication, which I have to be honest at the moment we're pretty poor at, because we're, no excuse, but we're time poor. So we'll have thank you letters, we'll have a newsletter supposedly every 6 months, but it slips somewhat. And then we rely a lot upon people clicking into Facebook or clicking onto our website or clicking to Twitter, which actually is not the most productive and probably the most proactive way of us doing it. But that is because of limiting resources in simple terms. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're asking.
Okay, fantastic. Step out. Whoa. I think what
I would like to do now is to open that whole thing up and start to think about questions. We've got Sophie here now. She's a captive audience. I've locked that door. I'm going to lock that door so you can't go out. And I think we know a little bit about it. Let's just ask any questions that we think are going to be important in the next however long. We've got 4 weeks for this. 4 weeks? Where are we now? So 3 and a bit weeks. That's quite a long time for you to do your work, to do your preparation, and to think, I'd like this to evolve, because I think as you get more into it, you're going to find more and more questions. So I think we can have an interactive dialogue where we can come back to Sophie, and I know you said you can do that. We can ask questions and you can just clarify things, you can scout around, find more information, whatever. I don't think necessarily all the questions are going to come out right now. I think sometimes you have to get in there to know what to ask. Chris and I have got a lot of questions that we've already talked about anyway. But let's just do that. We'll start with you, Stefano, and let's ask the questions, because I think if anybody's got a question, it's going to be relevant for everybody. And I know you're happy to do that. Some questions I'll say, I'm going to talk to you about that later, because there's a whole load of issues about things like money and budgets and things that we will talk about, but I don't really necessarily want to go through that. We're going to have a bit more talking. This is a real brief, it's a real client, as they say. It's going to evolve. So we're going to look and we're going to and fro it. Does that make sense? Stefano, go.
You just say that you have a full way of communicating with existing supporters. In the internship I did this summer in a charity, they were doing email marketing and newsletter via email more than mails itself. Are you doing something similar as well, or you just basically do mail?
We do email marketing. We do, but what we're in a little bit of a pickle about is our database hasn't been particularly well maintained. So we're in that age-old thing where we don't have a great resource from our database. It's growing because we've got better at it and we are now putting the information on it. But yes, it is something we have done, and possibly it's something we need to do more of, and that falls under individual giving. So it doesn't fall under this particular region support. Although that said, I personally have done email marketing when it's come to asking people to bungee jump or skydive. When I've rented an aeroplane and an airfield and had a day when I wanted people to, I've emailed everybody on our supporter database in our area and said, why don't you want to jump out of an aeroplane? And I've had a lot of replies.
But presumably, if you were an existing regional supporter, that email would come to you.
Yes.
So you're saying it's in individual giving, but it's also part of this here. That's where I think there's a little bit of confusion about the different divisions.
Yeah,
so it would be part of that if you were an existing one. Okay. So where did you work, Stefano?
Muscular Dystrophy UK.
Okay. How big are they?
They raise around 7 million a year.
So very similar, yeah?
Yeah, it's not huge as a company. But
It's like the same as you, isn't it? You're 6
Yeah.
million, yeah.
And they are divided more or less as you read us.
Okay.
So you're an expert. So Stefano is our resident ex. Is he in your group? Yeah. That's why.
And how are you managing to increase the database? Because for what I saw, the database, people from the database are basically those that are more likely to fundraise and participate to events. So are you planning to retrieve the data that you have lost or not well maintained, or are you planning to grow it in any way? Or
We have employed a database manager with that function in the last 6 months, and she is cleaning up our database in order that we can use it effectively with the information we've got, or going back out to supporters that have supported us to ask whether we can contact them in the future. Plus we are trying now, we've got a much better system of capturing data, but actually going to physically purchase any lists or things, I think the answer to that at the moment is no.
Okay. So that's the kind of thing that you can start to think about, is what have we got on the database, how can we improve it, what do we do with it when we've got it ready, how do we promote that? That idea of things like permission marketing is going to be really, really important. How can we make the most of that? And importantly, understanding the differences within the data, are we going to do different things for different people? Sorry, I'm just...
And the existing regional supporters, are they all individuals?
Sorry?
The existing regional supporters, are they all individuals?
No, they are, that broad brush again, they are corporates under £25,000 donors, they are individuals, they are schools, they are groups and associations, so golf clubs, brownies, sports clubs, gym clubs, a mass group of people.
So that would be like ours.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we would be in that, but we
Yes.
wouldn't be official university, would we?
You come under us as a university, yeah.
Okay, but I don't think we're official university because we weren't connected with the university officially. We were just a bunch of people, weren't we? I don't know. What do you think, Nadia? We were a bunch of people because we didn't get involved with any bureaucracy in the university really at all.
No.
So
Okay.
It'd be like one of the clubs.
yeah, we like brownies.
So a group, an association.
Yeah. Okay, Chris.
What's the overlap between national and regional in terms of corporates?
We're really good at that actually at the moment, and we don't supposedly overlap because we know, and we have a database that we feed into, all of us feed into. We know who our corporate team are prospecting. We know where that has led to, and we also know pretty much the size of the organisations that we have the facility to engage, because it's about managing those individuals or managing the corporates too. So I look to smaller companies within our region that will have the facility and ability to raise up to £25,000. So my Google Alert system will tell me who raised £10,000 from a company in Maidstone last year for a charity. I've got those sort of bits of research put in place, and then I can find out when they are looking again for another to partner with another charity, because they'll have a time frame of their years, and actually would we, Whizz Kidz, be of any interest? Whereas the big guys and girls, that even though they have regional offices, they are very much maintained by headquarters, our corporate team.
So we can't go to our local Tesco?
No.
So can we get a list of who your partners are, your current partners are?
Yes. Our current regional partners? Or
No, our current
Our current big boys,
corporate
yes.
partners. So we know that Tesco are out because
Yeah.
they're a corporate partner, yeah?
Yeah.
But yet again, I know that Tesco has found that trust funds, that they want to differentiate this throughout the year. But every individual Tesco's then sort of have a content in order to see which charity can put their basket at the till for the spare coins in terms for fundraising. So it could be seen as well as a regional.
It could be seen, but actually from Whizz Kidz' point of view, because we have to manage it and because of our resources, we leave that to the corporate team,
Okay, so
and added to which 95% of the time when you're applying to those, that's exactly where they send you back to. From the local store sends you back to Tesco's head office. When it comes to something a little bit different is things like the green token scheme in Waitrose, called a Community Matters scheme, and that is where regional supporters or regional fundraisers, but normally schools, can apply to the Waitrose in their local area and say, this is the charity I nominate. Please could you support them? And Waitrose will support 3 charities a month by you each choosing which one you want to put your green coin into, and that comes out at that's basically about a £250 donation from each store that you have been selected in. But we ask, because of the manpower of that and the return, we ask that our regional supporters and volunteers fill those forms in for us, because it wouldn't be cost effective time-wise for me to do that in a year.
So you ask your supporters to
Yes.
vote?
We ask our supporters to fill in the form,
Yeah.
give it to their Waitrose, and then Waitrose then, each store then chooses which.
It's like a voting member?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just for 1 month a year. But it's good.
I'm presuming December's more full than any other time?
Well, no, because it's not financial. It's just which one they have £1,000 a month that they give,
Okay.
and then it divides. Whether if that green one is up here, then you'll get a large percentage of
Okay.
it. But actually, it's percentage like that.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, any more important questions?
I have two questions. Do you think, is there a specific time of year that you feel that people donate more? And the second question is, within all the activities you've done so far with your database, which you think is more effectively engaging? Or which activity people respond better to?
The time giving wise, no, there are quieter periods of the year, and that's the summer months. The July and August are very quiet. Christmas, November, December is always a better time of giving, because that is the nature of the season. But we are trying to highlight key events throughout the year. So Valentine's Day, so Easter egg hunts, those sort of things. Get Fit campaigns in January. We're trying to put those into a calendar of events so that we've got something that can engage people throughout the year and hopefully entice them. For example, there was one company that I've been working with, their aim is to raise £10,000 this year, and actually they've achieved it, and we've got 3 months to go and they've raised 15, but they're really simple ideas. They're a company of 400 employees, but it was their start out. They had cupcakes for Valentine's Day, and you could purchase a cupcake which they would deliver to your secret admirer. And it just created a mass of corporate gossip and workplace gossip, but also raised just under £1,000. So it was quite a simple one, but actually a fun and engaging one, and it was different to them going back to their staff time and time again and say, can you give some more money to this? Here's a Just Giving page. Please, can you sponsor me, because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And there is a little bit of donor fatigue from time to time. That's why we've got to come up continuously with something. Nothing, we're not, we haven't come up with the Ice Bucket Challenge, but something that's just a little bit more engaging rather than sounding like another begging letter.
Do you want to look at those two products that you have? I've got those there if you want to look at them. Okay.
I don't mind. I can do, yes.
Well, I just thought it might be worth
Yeah.
explaining those, because those are the two that you've got, which were here, the Aspire pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
This is a very generic, I have to be honest, I'm not massively keen on this one.
okay. Right,
But that's good, you need to see it, and I know you've got it to send out or whatever, and it's on our website. Is it really, the reason I'm not massively keen on it is because it's a great product, because it opens it up to the school to aspire to be something or to aspire to challenge themselves, and it leaves it very much in the school's hands to fit within what they know their audience. So it works really, really well in that sense. But I do wonder whether we've missed a trick on actually specifically asking them to do something, and maybe that would have been a better hit, because our hit rate at the moment is quite low, although it has only just started to filter through. And it hasn't got an end date on it, so it's a useful resource and product for us to have. But that's my personal opinion. But it works because it's an easy one across the regions, all across the UK too. And where is this the 12 days?
Yeah.
This was another idea that we came up with, which is the 12 days of fundraising, particularly aimed again at workplaces or schools or groups, I suppose, as well. So it's just giving them ideas of things to do, to just tasters really. Be it, you know, the Christmas jumper, the singing carols. I've got one group of people that actually have gone one step further and thought, we're not the military wives choir, but we think we can't really sing, but actually we'll give it a go. And we've got a permit to go and sing at an underground station for a day. And they're going to they've got together, they started to sing some carols, they're sounding quite tuneful now. And they are going to do that for us for 4 hours or so. And when I've had a choir before sing at the London Underground on a Thursday night, Christmas shopping night, we've raised just over £2,500 in 4 hours. So they're going to get some fun out of it at the same time, and there'll be something they remember, and hopefully it will raise some money too. So it's just, and that's what they chose to do, rather than, and they've sort of picked that from carols. So it's some of the drip feed does work, the ideas, suggestions do work into their environment. We've created one at the moment which is on our website, or going onto our website very shortly, which is the 12 Days of Christmas in a gym challenge as well. So the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, the first 2 weeks we've got ideas to, you know, increase the plank to a minute, the 20 sit-ups up to 200 sit-ups by the end of the month or whatever it may be. But again, tasters, again, aimed at a slightly different audience in the athletic sort of style, get fit, get healthy. Because we do find that a lot of people that support us individually are those that wanting to challenge themselves, be it through a run or be it through a personal challenge. And they tend to be age range between 20 and 35, 40, young-ish, fit adults that are wanting to do something else in the name of charity.
Do you do any follow-up after any donation, in terms of like, okay, university decide to donate, or they start like these 12 days things. So you say after this initiative we raise their money, and they follow up in terms, okay, thank you guys, we could achieve this goal or this other goal. Do you do anything like that?
No, yeah, there are two areas. We do have a supported journey, which is we support the individual through their fundraising initiative with us. If necessary, we'll put them on Facebook or we'll retweet them and that sort of thing. And then we will follow up with a thank you, and then they should receive a newsletter after that, about 6 months later. And if it was a school, for example, we would have the facility to create a certificate. We've got the facility to create a certificate, so that goes onto the school wall. We also have the option where people can restrict the money. So they can say, actually, I want to raise £5,000 and I want it to be used to purchase a piece of equipment. And then we will do exactly that. We try our hardest not to ask people not to restrict it, particularly for one child, one particular area, because things really can change. And we would hate to disappoint either the child or disappoint the donor if, for some reason, the child didn't require it any further. So we try to be quite open and honest about it, but not restrict it too narrowly. But we particularly corporates, I find, are really keen to purchase a piece of equipment because they can see the tangible, or they want to fund 4 months worth of wheelchair skills training. So we have what I call, simple terms, a shopping list as well, which actually I haven't, and I can send round if that would.
That'd be great, yeah.
Be a benefit,
what
which
your
will
money
give you
buys.
some examples
Yeah.
of what your money buys.
And that's like the goat and the well in
Yeah.
a certain region.
Yeah, so for example, on the back of our little leaflet here, we've got £45 enables a disabled child to go to an ambassador club for an hour, so their local youth club, disabled youth club. £134 enables us to support a young person for 1 day on their work placement. £340 pays for a child to do a whole wheelchair skills training. £3,500 for a manual is the approximate price for a manual chair that fits and £6,000 again as the approximate price for a powered chair. So that's a short breakdown just on this little leaflet. So I can do a bit of a long one, and
That'd be great, yeah.
and what we tend to do if it was for a corporate, when they're trying to think of things and they've got a £10,000 goal, is split it down for them so that they can send that out on the internet.
Okay. Chris?
To what extent do you think that, or do you know a figure for the extent to which the people that support you, either corporately or on the ground, do they know somebody that actually needs mobility? And is there a kind of, is there a cloud of people who are sort of warm to Whizz Kidz surrounding all of your current clients, as it were?
We haven't got a great piece of research. Now, I know from working in the field that 10 to 15% will be because they know somebody has received a piece of equipment from us. Others, it's because they've run London Marathon Place, or they know somebody that has done something for us and actually the cause has touched their hearts. And others, it is because, I would say about 30 to 40%, it is because it is quite simply because we've got to them, we've reached them and made the ask.
Do you have any consumer research like that we can have a look at?
I can dig in.
Yeah, that if we can have that, either regional, national, or not necessarily about Whizz Kidz, about anything that you've got that we can pull it apart and see if we've got any insights for it. You know, that kind of research is what we would use to give us insights. So that would be very, very valuable. Okay.
Just one final question.
Yeah. I haven't had my turn.
You've got the celebrities that support you. Have you got contracts with those people? And will they do anything? Will they do anything that you ask them?
Straightforwardly, the answer to that is no. I don't know if we've got a contract with them. We have the facility. They are managed by our press department.
Is that about us?
Where are they?
Support us, is it?
They have done a lot for us. Possibly we haven't asked them in the right way. I'm not 100% sure, but we regionally are sort of asked to stand back a little bit. But they are there, and they have said they will our patrons. So we've got Hannah Cockcroft, Jamie Murray. I know, like with all celebrities, it's a time-pressing thing as well. But I'm sure that if we ask the right ask and make the right ask for something particular, then we would definitely support it.
That was my question, because I think that's a hugely powerful resource. I think if you look at someone like Hannah Cockcroft, who won double gold at the Olympics, in the Paralympics, she says, the day I received with my wheelchair from Whizz Kidz changed my life. And I think that is an incredibly powerful story, and yet it's tucked away at the bottom of the website. And I think, for me, that's a part of this storytelling, which we're going to go on to talk about, storytelling. I think that kind of thing is hugely important. You've got Jamie Murray, who is Andy Murray's brother. You know who Jamie is, yeah? Okay, so he's not Andy Murray, who is the big tennis star in the UK, but it's his brother, and he plays in the doubles with him, doesn't he? Sorry?
I watched his match in New York.
Yeah, these are real big celebrities, and if you look down, and you've got people you won't know who Sam and Mark are, but Sam and Mark are two basically children's presenters who are huge on BBC CBBS. And you have a look at their work, and there's quite a lot on there. I had a look on their Facebook page, and there's not really a lot of connection with Whizz Kidz ambassadors. There's really not a lot going on, so there's a lot of connections that you can make either formally and informally with that as well. So if there are any guidelines on what we can and can't do with our celebrities, because I think that is a big communications tool for us, that would give us some real clout, I think, some real things that we can do. And also the ambassadors, the children's ambassadors, and how they work in the sponsorship donations, yeah. So that would be useful too.
Yeah, because for example, for the Macmillan campaign, the coffee morning, all the celebrities were posting pictures with the coffee mug and everything, and that's huge for the charity.
Huge. Yeah.
Because a lot of people see that and
And the thing about celebrities, they want to, a lot of their work is about charities. They want to be seen to be doing things. And so, quite a few of these, obviously Hannah Cockcroft is connected in this way, but it's about maybe building platforms. I know that's a slightly different thing, but regionally, there are regional celebrities who are not national celebrities who might be possible to involve them. Yeah.
Would participation at regional events follow under your department, or will you go through the events team?
Depends on what they are. Just because we within Whizz Kidz have our own criteria, so we say a mass participation event of 1,000 people and above is events team headquarters based, and anybody a mass participation event of 1,000 and under in the regions.
So you still follow events then, so we could use like in the IOC something regarding events.
Yeah.
Scale ones.
Yeah, I mean, in the past we've tried, and I think I'm hoping I've just secured it, a third-party event. So the event organisers are organising this triathlon for next year, but actually they didn't have a charity, so we have become, hopefully, we're going to be their chosen charity, which will mean our branding will be throughout the whole thing, and that's for 1,000 people and under.
You don't have any regional event that
No.
is created by you
No,
yourself?
not at the moment. And that's definitely open for opportunity and key ideas. Definitely. But no, we don't have one. Probably because we're still quite in our infancy regionally, and it's a manpower that putting on events can be.
It's hard to organise events,
Really
isn't it?
hard.
And Nesmond's here. That was hard work, wasn't it?
Yes.
It always is hard
It was
work.
worth it.
Huh?
Completely worth it.
Completely worth it, but hard work.
But it is, when it's, and I think that's what as a charity you have to try to work out what. It's frustrating because I've worked in charities before where events can actually then grow and grow and grow and grow and become massive over a time period. So it's whether you take that risk or not, but you still have to try and get the income at the same time.
So lots of scope. Lots of scope, lots of opportunities.
Fresh
Lots of
ideas, fresh
potential.
eyes. Yeah, and actually having some feedback from you guys about who we are and what we are, and like you mentioned, the celebrities, and perhaps we're not using them in, but perhaps we're not engaging them in the way that we should be, or perhaps maximising our engagement might
Okay. Go on, you got another question?
The advocacy ambassador that supports you as well, apart from celebrities, sort of like a child that just received, and do you use that at the regional level? Or
Yes, they are our greatest supporters. They're the best ambassador, and they're the best, better than I can ever say what the impact of Whizz Kidz. They completely and utterly speak from the heart. So I quite often, if we're going to an event which is being put on for us or in benefit for us, for example, a golf day a couple of weeks ago, a company put on a golf day. In the evening they had dinner, and we were allowed the charity was invited to say a few words. We had an auction, and then we had a raffle, and that culminated in just over £5,000 for the evening. I said a few words, one of the ambassadors said a few words, and then his father said a few words too. And it wasn't emotional, it was emotional, but it wasn't, people didn't go away feeling drained. They actually felt going away thinking, well, actually, if I've spent £10 on raffle tickets, this is the big difference it makes, and actually the positive impact. So yes, they are our greatest advocates, definitely. And actually, the kids love being involved.
Well, I think when George came here, that was fantastic. I mean, that made a big difference, I think, to how we felt.
And we do say we're trying to increase that part, to become part of the Whizz Kidz family. We don't just give you a piece of kit and off you go. We keep with you for the life journey. And actually, at the end, not the end of our time with the ambassador clubs and things, but you become our spokespeople. So.
Adele?
The question was about the social network. if which one do you use and which one you find more effective. Because, for example, Mila, they are really, really active on social network as a Facebook and yeah, they are really, really huge. And I read a couple of articles which what they are saying that is actually helpful be on a social network to raise money and to engage people, to donate and build the relationship that you needed to.
But they're now so big, they've got, their net touches so many things and it's so well connected, those connections between the different networks is so strong that it's very, very well supported, and that comes with being a big brand. That's part of that brand, is, you know, we touch in so many different ways and it's constantly being reinforced, and that's what you're trying to get to, isn't it, to make your net wider and stronger. Yeah.
I'll get some facts and figures because we are big to our Facebook and Twitter, but I will get some figures for you about how many people will interact with us on either of those.
So at the moment just Facebook and Twitter.
We've got some other. We've got Instagram, we've got something Google.
What about
Google? I don't know, sorry, I'm showing my age badly. Yes. But I can easily ping some, we've got one person in the office that deals particularly with our website and social media. Is our guru.
One person?
So happily.
One? Regionally.
One person knows the charity. Yeah.
There's an internship waiting there for you, Nesma.
I was going to ask about any digital campaigns that you guys carried out in the past few years.
Such as? Give examples.
Such as, for example, the water ice bucket challenge is a digital campaign that went really viral. But did you do things like that can get you connections or get you donors through social media that has affected you in a way?
Not off the top of my head. The answer to that is no. We put our products onto our social media, but I don't think we've done anything.
An active campaign that people
Actively,
can
no.
interact.
No, we haven't done it because it's that call to ask, isn't it? No, I don't think we have.
Okay, right. That's something that we can certainly look at, I think. Okay, are we happy with that for the time being? Okay. If that's all you've got for Sophie right now, I'm just going to talk to you about the residential. I think let's say thank you to Sophie for coming. Right there, Chris, are you happy to take Sophie down? And we'll just talk about the logistics of what we're going to do and how it's all going to come together. Sophie's going to come to our residential with us, so we will see her again. You'll be presenting your ideas. Maybe not all of you, but some of you will see how we can work it out. Your regional manager can't come, no?
No, she can't. I'm going to come earlier. I can come back.
Okay. Or maybe somebody a different region.
Yeah, I tried.
Keep trying. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. That's great. So, how many weeks is it? 3.5? 3.5. Okay, we're 14.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, okay, so I'm just going to run you through a few things for what we're going to do. So this is the Whizz Kidz. I've broken down the fundraiser. This is just from the website. This is the 2015 broken down corporate events, individuals. Sophie's focusing on this regional fundraising, but I think those divisions are quite vague. She's very much focused on that's where she kind of is most involved. But I think there's quite a lot of overlap there. I think there's quite a lot of lead between the different events. I think we've already uncovered some of that this morning. So we're going to be focusing on that, but I think your campaign will be able to move towards that. We're going to set some targets, we're going to give you a budget, but not just yet. But that gives you an idea. So this will be a very similar breakdown to your charity, Stefano, yeah? Muscular dystrophy, okay. Do you see great similarities?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because in terms of regional, my charity, as I said, target, it's a really limited percentage of the population that have muscular dystrophy. So what they do, they try to target those individuals or families that have this sort
So
of
it's very
illness.
personalised.
And then targeting them and involving their network in fundraising. So they use like the father of a child with a condition to fundraise through his workplace or to organize
That's why I said more
participate
personalised,
with
yeah.
events and stuff like that. So they are much more active in terms of regional.
Okay. So that would be a much bigger call, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm going back to where we first started marketing a long, long time ago, where we were looking at how this marketing exchange process works. We talked about at the time about a charity, and I think a charity is this idea we're exchanging. All we've got is feel good. We've got nothing to give our donor. We haven't got a product, we haven't got anything. All we've got is you feel better about yourself if you give money. And I think that's really important that we come back to this idea of we're doing it for charities, and we have got big competitors out there. You know, people like Macmillan are super, super successful. Who are the other big ones that you know?
Great Children of Almond Hospital.
Great Ormond Street. Great Ormond Street is a huge children's hospital, and it creates a massive pool of resources. It's a really, really easy charity to give to because it's about children who are ill. And I think that my understanding, Sophie did work for them, but my understanding is they get so much money they just become a distribution for other people, so they get much more money than they can do, although a lot of it goes off for research. But they just research everything. They have a massive pool of money. So they're a big one. The other one is cancer research, which is an enormous charity. So what I've put is I put on the website, on Blackboard, I put a case study about Macmillan, which I actually used for an exam last year. So there's might be some exam questions on there. But that's really interesting. It's looking about some of the work that Macmillan have done. And there's a lot written about Macmillan, so it would be really useful to explore that. I'm interested in customer journeys, and I think this is a good place to start, because this idea of how do we start giving, you might recognise some people in there, because I think we were customers on that journey. And I think I'm looking back and thinking how we, Nesma, Nadia and Nick and everybody else, we had this problem that we're going to raise a big pot of money because we want to do this run and have some fun. Who are we going to give it to? And that was our problem, who are we going to give it to? And I think if you think about that decision-making process that we went and how we arrived at Whizz Kidz. Nadia, do you just want to talk about that?
Okay, we had a big brainstorming session. We tried to understand what we each individually around the table felt strongly about. So we had brainstormed different organisations, which included cancer research, dementia, and then we went on to Kidz. And we ended up with Whizz Kidz because I personally have two cousins who are in wheelchairs, one of whom sadly passed away 3 weeks ago. So this is going to be very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was personal. I think that's the important. There was some personal. I know Diletta was connected in some way. Yeah.
Diletta as well.
Yeah, she had a brother or a sister. I can't remember. So
yeah.
They were connected. So that connection. But I think there was something also, because it was a very diverse group of people from all over the world. We wanted something that was local. We didn't want to be just a little tiny piece in Macmillan. We wanted something where we could make a difference. We could be part of something much smaller. I think we wanted to be a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big pond. And for us, I think that was quite important. So yeah, there was some personal connections. We also talked, I think, about it. It was just not political in any way. There was no contention with that. We looked at something like, I don't know if that was actually the conversation, but something like Syrian refugees. That was political. You talked about the homeless. There's some people say, I don't think that's as deserving as other things. So we had to get something that everybody was on board with.
And this kind of is the bottom line. There's just nothing not to like about it, really. And so I think looking at those customer journeys and how people get that, and your customer might be corporate, they might be whatever, and that looking at how we make those decisions to get people on board, I think is going to become really, really important. So yes, we did have some. We talked, I'm going back to some of the slides that I had earlier. There was Interbrand, there's a video, I'm not going to show that now, about customer journeys and reimagining customer journeys. This is Interbrand saying this is how we work with our customers, looking at those customer journeys, looking at the decision-making process. We're right back to the heart of some of our consumer behaviour stuff here, so I think it will be really interesting to go back and revisit a lot of that. Okay, so there's some of our customer journeys. There you go. I only put a few, but I put that bottom slide on with the other guys because it wasn't just us; that we were part of a bigger thing. You know, what are you laughing at? You said that.
It's fine.
These guys down at the bottom with the winners. Yeah, I put them there because I like winners. So in terms of what I think you really need to explore with marketing. I think you need to look at some general information about, it's called the third sector. Okay, the third sector is this charity, and it's growing, it's enormous, and there's a lot of really good marketing and marketing communications going on. But I think you really need to spend a bit of time looking at it and seeing how it works. You know, we've seen how it made parts of it work for one, but not the whole thing. And I think you need to understand the customer and all of those journeys. And I think in your group you need to sit down and I think you need to map that out and really try and understand what are the key entry points to get into these charities. I think you can look at existing customers, how do we get acquisition, you know, but how do we get retention? And I think that idea of this thing of retention is really, really important. I'm interested in, I think, what you, both of you said at the back about email marketing, about permission marketing and about contact. Have you been contacted, Nadia? I know you were involved. And has anyone said thank you to you for what we raised? No one said thank you to me either. My email is on that website, and I think that is shockingly disappointing. I don't want anybody to say that to Sophie, but I think that shows a huge great hole in the thing. Nobody has come back and acknowledged our contribution at all. Or how much we raised. We haven't got a certificate. We haven't had anything. We raised over £1,000, and you know, I didn't run because my foot was sore. But you know, we worked very hard for that. And so I think that whole thing about that journey, where are we in that journey? Would you go back to them? Well, we're connected now and whatever. But you know, look how big this class is. The September class is twice the size. You know, I've got a lot of potential to keep this going, and yet nobody's working on me at all. So I think in terms of acquisition, they didn't acquire us, we acquired ourselves. And we went through a process that came to them, but we could easily not have come to them. And now we're there, they're not even trying to hang on to us at all. So I think there's a lot in there that we can have a look at and understanding those journeys and how people come back and what experiences they want. And understand all those routes to market, those different places of how we can contact customers. Understand the product. I think she talked a lot about the charity. That's obviously what her job is. She's a fundraiser, she goes to talk to people and say, we're a very valuable people to give them money. I think, yes, they are, but that's not really where we want to be. We're not looking at the viability of whether it's the right or wrong charity. We've been through that, we've made our decision. But I think we need to understand the products in terms of what they've got, because we have to storytell. We're marketing communications, and what stories are we going to get out of that? And I think when we look at how people like Macmillan have done that and have managed their stories, I'm going to show you the Macmillan advert, which I think is a fantastic storytelling commercial that really says they understand their products and they understand the connection between those people who give to Macmillan and why they give. And it's a very, very powerful. We've seen it before, but it's important. And I think the idea of understanding the brand in the competitive context, I think we're going to have a look at that and really see where it all fits together. So this is what I think you need to be going through in the next 3.5 weeks, of really trying to get to grips with what's going on. It's a very complicated market. It's different to Dove soap, it's different to Heinz baked beans. But in many ways it's exactly the same. You're going to need to develop some objectives. So once you get to this stage here, developing your objectives, Chris and I will come back to you. We'll give you some clearer targets and a budget in terms of what you can be doing with that.
develop a strategy. I think you need to be looking at your message and your media and your target interactions. What are we going to say to who and how? So that idea of connecting those three things is going to be really what the IMC is all about. And again, the opportunity to think, okay, we've come to stop here, we don't know what this means, we don't know how this fits in, and to come back, and I'll set up a discussion board where you can ask questions, and I'll go back to Sophie, and I'll say, we need to know this, we can't progress without that. Because that's what we would do with a real client. If we were in an agency and our client said, we'd say, client, what's the answer here? We can't work it out until you tell us this. And so she's already going to come back with more information. She hasn't been particularly giving with the information, but I don't think she really knew what we wanted, despite the fact that we asked her. But I'm hoping that she's going to come back. But these are what clients, they don't always give you the right answers. You know, clients don't often know their answers. You have questions and you don't know what the answer is. So that's part of that, okay? So I think it's worth certainly looking at Macmillan. Ice Bucket Challenge, she talked about that. I don't know, I think I talked to somebody about This Girl Can, which is a really powerful campaign because it's not for a product, not for a people. Are you familiar with that? Are you familiar with that?
Was there a YouTube review?
Yeah, a huge, went very, very viral, yeah, of ordinary people, ordinary girls. It was Sports England, the idea was to get women active, So a very, very good campaign, hugely successful. Run Like a Girl, has anybody seen marketing this week? Yeah? Tell me about Run Like a Girl.
Run like a girl, wasn't like run like a girl, punch like a girl.
Yeah,
fight like a girl.
I'm not going to show it now. I think most people know it. It's just cleaned all the awards. So the headline in Marketing Magazine is Run Like a Girl gets top awards and everything. So it's just won all of the 2015. Do you know about Run Like a Girl? Do you know who that is? Angel Capobianco is credited with the creative there. She was a student on Mansi 2 years ago. So she is now at all the big awards, getting the flowers, getting the awards. There's quite a bit on the website about her. She was sitting here 2 years ago. So yeah, she's done really well. She's our poster girl. And you know, that's a huge campaign. But I think that's a similar sort of thing. That's for a product, but it's that idea. It's kind of an advert, and Whizz say, we can't really afford advertising. But a bit of a video that goes viral, that tells a story, can be a very powerful communication tool. So there's a lot of scope in here for you to think differently, with a very small budget, to think differently and to do big things. Think about how big the budget was for Ice Bucket Challenge. So the residential. So we're going to Cambridge. Oh, that says June. Why does that say June? Yes? Did somebody say Anne? Okay, I've changed that to the wrong. There's two. Let me just see that. Oh yeah, so it is the right one. Okay, so I changed that part there. So we're going to Cambridge. We're going to be staying at the Moller Centre, which is part of Churchill College in Cambridge, and we're going on the Friday the 6th to the 8th. Okay, we're going to be working on a real brief, exploring IMC, throwing together all elements of the course. This is what we're going to do. We're going to gain a deeper understanding, insights into integration within IMC, focus on IMC planning, review and reflect on the feedback. Okay, it's a trial run for your own IMC project. That's the conference centre where we're going to be staying. It's very lovely, it's very nice. And this is our time. So we did a full briefing today, so you've got between now and the 5th of November to do that. And what we want to do is we want you to do an arrival presentation when you get there on the 6th. Okay, I've got the full timings in a moment. But you're going to get there and you're just going to present as your group to Chris, myself and a whole range of other people. These are ideas. So this is what our preparation, this is where our preparation has taken us. And then you've got what is effectively 24 hours to work on finalising your IMC plan and your presentation. Okay, so it's a very intensive time. Students tend to work all night long with a few hours for sleep. It's a real hard focus. It's like being in an agency with a pitch in the morning. That's how agencies work. Lots of people stay, lots of nights. You've been there, Nicolo, yeah. You know, it's going to be like that. So I think it's not going to be unusual. And that day, on the Saturday, which is the day you're actually going to do the presentation in the afternoon, is going to be when you get your assessment. You're going to get a lot of feedback on your presentations. We're going to see, don't know how many actual presentations, and the interesting thing about that is there's going to be different ideas. So it's about, as we do with always presentations, this group has got a really good idea, that group has got a great idea as well. Okay, so that's all the detail of what we're going to be doing there. That's on Blackboard now, I'm not going to go through that. Going through Friday, we're going to be leaving at 8:30 outside Madame Tussauds on a Friday morning, okay? We're going through all day Saturday, we'll have the presentations here on Saturday afternoon. We've got a bit of time and then we're going to have our formal prize giving dinner. So the best IMC will be gaining their prize, and then afterwards, Adventures in Cambridge. Adventures in Cambridge, I don't know. I suggest Nadia and Nesma, Suzanne's not here, is she? I have a word with Nick, he found a great nightclub that he got everybody into. They had a wild time. Okay. Sunday, we'll have the opportunity to go punting on the camp. And then I'll buy you a train ticket, guys listening, a train ticket to come back from Cambridge anytime on a Sunday. Okay, so you're not all coming back together on a coach. It's one of the UK's top tourist attractions. If you've never been to Cambridge, it's a fabulous place to have a look around for a day, especially if the sun shines. And then I will ask the winner presentations to come back and do a presentation here in class for the next group. Okay, I'm whizzing through because I've got to shoot in a second. That's the overall, what we're going to be looking for the arrival presentation. There's information about what to take, Sunday activity, and then there's some pictures about...
Boards, flowers, what you can use.
All right.
Which one is the prize?
Which one? You mean what's the prize?
Yeah, what's the prize?
See?
Money?
No, that's what Nicolo said.
Oh, I was like...
Great prestige.